weird story.
Yeah.
So in Thailand, we used to take these like mini buses, like when we went on school trips and stuff like that. There was a TV in the bus, and like, and so like one time we watched like Iron Man 3 or something.
Nice.
And this one time, I swear to God, man, it was so weird. We were supposed to be watching Slumdog Millionaire or something.
Okay.
The bus driver put on Human Centipede.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Way Podcast with your host Sajid Murwar. Today I have a couple of very special guests, Kyle and Bayden of First Film Podcast. First Film Potty. Is that right?
We had to shorten it because the First Film Podcast was taken everywhere, so we went with First Film Potty.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, they both do this podcast where they look at the directorial debut of many famous directors.
Household names.
Household names for sure, yeah.
Your Spielbergs, your Spike Lees, your
Greta Gerwig.
Gerwigs.
Your Sofia Coppolas.
Exactly, and it's a great time. They spend so much time editing every episode because they start out at many hours, much longer, to like a nice, crisp 30 to 50 minute episode.
We were really hoping that the raw recordings would get shorter as we went on.
They did not.
They just kept getting longer and longer because the conversations were just phenomenal. But yeah, today, we're going to be talking about kind of both your journeys in this kind of space, but just first to start it off, why didn't you both introduce yourselves? We'll start on the right.
Oh, sweet. All right. So I'm Bayden. Man, it's so worrying that my first instinct after that is to be like Ramen Commerce Accounting, 4th year. Like that's who I am now.
Here's my LinkedIn.
And feel free to follow me. Let me know. Hit me up. We'll connect. We'll set up.
We'll connect. You're gonna be at the EY networking event tonight.
Absolutely. I am every week. I'm there for the free drinks. No,
exactly. Me too.
I have been doing filmmaking since grade 10. I made some terrible stuff before that, so we'll say grade 10 was the start. And I really enjoy just like all the creative stuff, all the art stuff. It's all great.
It's all fantastic.
Yeah, except architecture.
Yeah, screw you.
Damn. Why'd you have to build robots so badly?
Exactly. You built the frickin' Daniels building all beautiful. It's like gothic in the front, and then you have like modern in the back. Then we have the concrete block that is Robarts,
Why'd you... It's a triangle? It's like the worst use of space. Dude, I want to be able to book a study room.
It's like
it was so hard. I was trying to book one. It was like on the top floor at one time period. I'm like, it's the first week of classes already.
U of T has nice buildings, but we just need one building that's like a huge rectangle and it just has nothing but study rooms.
Yeah.
I know. That's one of the hardest things.
Instead, you guys have the ROM type architecture.
Exactly, yeah. Just a square that looks like it came out of the sky.
It just fell from an alien spacecraft.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm Kyle Testa. Yeah. Last name, huh? Look at that.
Wow.
Eh?
Wow.
Well, you actually have a decent one.
Wow. Okay, that's a bit of a self-roast there.
I don't know, yeah.
But I've been involved in the arts for like a long time. I was doing like music stuff, then music theater, then acting, then filmmaking. Well, I'm still doing filmmaking. And now I'm doing Foley, which is like sound design for film and stuff, which is...
Kyle literally watches like Netflix shows like months ahead.
Yeah.
Doing Foley for them. It's crazy.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so some stuff I worked on was The Last of Us. I do all the Law & Order SVU and then just the regular Law & Order stuff. God, my mind's blank.
Yeah, no, it's okay. You've been like a lot.
Look me up at IMDb.
A lot of stuff, eh?
Kyle's in industry. It's crazy.
Look at me in the IMDb,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
exactly.
Give it a follow. Connect on LinkedIn.
Look at IMDb. Can you like an IMDb?
I'm not sure. IMDb is such a strange website because before I thought like, oh, someone like submits all the stuff.
Yeah.
But no, you have to go in
and do it yourself.
Interesting.
I mean, I guess that's better for like
accuracy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you can put like trivia and stuff. So if anyone wants to go and from this episode add trivia to Kyle's IMDb,
yes, Kyle will
feel
love
free.
that.
That'll be great.
Don't listen to Kyle's opinion. Just do it. Hack the account. Go in and add some amazing trivia. Now that you know so much,
Exactly.
Kyle. But yeah, so that's actually sick, guys. I'm just saying, like, as somebody who's been more of an appreciator of this side of the arts, like I've been a musician for a long time. I mean, I did theater a little bit in high school. I was in a few plays in high school.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like this side of my interests, I haven't really been able to express as much in uni. When it comes to
Yeah. Feel that.
yeah. Especially, I don't think I've even thought about acting or like filmmaking or that side of the arts since high school.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see people still pursuing that. And I mean, you're in the freaking industry, which is actually wild.
That's crazy.
which is so sick.
I'm shocked myself too at some point. Sometimes
Nice.
I just
Big
lay
up yourself.
back.
Pat in the back. Pat in the back. So, going off of that, what led you into this direction for both of you, versus some other arts, or maybe not even studying arts, or how did you end up on this path of just pursuing this art form?
Kyle, you want to go first this time?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. God, I think like it starts like back when I was like a child, like 5 to 6 years old, probably. Like, my parents always say I was like a performer at heart. I used to like get up on tables when I was like 6 years old and like sing like Lady Gaga songs.
And you still do it today.
Yeah, exactly.
You can actually do it at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, I will. Hopefully we don't get kicked out. No one's watching, right?
No, absolutely.
That's actually going to the 30-second trailer at the beginning of every podcast.
Yeah. It'll be that. Yeah.
We're gonna have Kyle on the table.
But then then I got into music stuff because I was like, I want to like be a part of those songs. And initially I wanted to become a drummer.
No way, really? I did
Yeah,
not know that.
yeah. And so my parents got me this like flaming drum kit from like Costco.
Sick.
Oh, Costco drum kit, hell yeah.
Sponsored by Costco.
That's right.
But I was like, oh, this is too difficult. So I was like, I'm not gonna do that.
Facts.
And then I did like a bunch of singing. I went to like do lessons and stuff. And then my singing teacher was like, oh, you should start doing like musicals and stuff. And so I did that for a long part of my life. Like, that's how
Yeah.
Bayden was around for that because I majored in music theater in high school.
Yeah, we went to the same high school. I've seen like Kyle perform a bunch. Like, they're great.
And then through that, when me and Bayden became friends, I then started acting for him in his films.
Yep. Planet
Which
D,
was-
baby.
Which was a lot of fun. And then I think maybe it was just kind of the environment of high school, like theater and stuff like that. But I kind of got turned away from like the musical theater portion. I still really enjoyed music, and there was a point where I wanted to pursue that, and so I went to a specialized college to do sound mixing. And it gave me a bit of reality check because it was like, yeah, unless you want to be like $50,000 in debt and like become a musician and like tour and basically put every other part of your
My
life
dream.
on hold.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And then it was like, oh, I kind of want to run a studio. And then it was the same thing where it was like, well, that'll be $200,000 in debt. And good
Ask
luck.
my uncle.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's literally
Yeah.
Is he a studio guy?
Yeah, he just bought one recently, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's been one of those people who kind of like do a little bit of everything. Anyway, I would want to detract from your
No,
introduction.
you're all good. I was
It's
curious.
interesting.
But yeah, that is especially a hard thing to get into because it's like Toronto real estate, and then you have the competition, and then it's like getting people to come in, and then like I know someone who I worked with. They owned a studio up in Vaughan, and they said it was a hard and difficult process, and they sold it, I think, a month before COVID happened.
Damn, that's lucky.
Yeah, and they
That's
got
lucky.
like a lot more money for it
Yeah.
because you know.
It's all in-person business. Like, this is the studio.
Yeah. And then through my college and university program, I got really into just sound making for film. I had a really great mentor. His name was Yuri Gorbachev. I always get his last name wrong, but he is a music mixer for shows like Vikings, Handmaid's Tale,
Wow.
And he was a fantastic teacher. And through that, he taught me what Foley was. And for anyone who doesn't know what Foley is, it is literally anytime you see in a movie or TV show anything that's interactable with a human. So if I'm picking up this cup, or I'm getting out of this chair, or even if I'm brushing my arm, this is all what Foley is. So we do cloth, we do the cups, and we just have like a warehouse of props at our studio, which is crazy. And it was at the time where I graduated college. Afterwards that happened, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to find a job for a year at least, because again, the industry is hard to get into. You have to like either work your way up, or it's, you're begging for people to let you in. And I went through a lot of interviews. There was a studio I interviewed in Liberty Village. I actually had an offer for one, I think, but it was in like Sherburne and Queen area, and I was like, I'm not a fan of going down there. And of course, like all these positions that I'm mentioning are internships. They're unpaid, right? And that's never ideal for someone who's out of college and doesn't really want to live with their parents, right? And so I was just waiting, and then the mentor who I mentioned, Yuri, he sent me an email, and he was like a long-term friend of mine. He needs a studio assistant, and I went in, and after 2 interviews, they said, we really like you, and I've been working there for a year and a half now, actually.
I can't believe how long it's been, genuinely. It feels like it happened like a few months ago.
I know, and it's been very busy. Right now, it's like lessened a bit because of the strike, because we do a lot of U.S. productions, so that's how I got into things. So I gave you my whole life story there.
That's crazy.
That's all right. I'm just gonna check.
Yeah, for sure. Always gotta check the recordings.
I may have recorded a couple podcasts that weren't recorded.
Jeez, that's
all.
We've had similar things.
Oh, don't worry. We get this like CPU overload issue sometimes. That's like such a pain.
It just completely cuts the recording. We have a little TV. When we record first film, we record in this tiny like sound booth at Kyle's place. And we have this tiny TV in the corner, like, just like almost, I'm basically sitting on it.
Bayden can't see it.
I can't see it.
I can see it.
Every now and again, I just see Kyle's eyes dart down, like, to the TV, just checking that it's still recording.
Please be recording.
God,
We're 3 hours into this conversation about Spike Lee.
Yeah, and that monitor takes longer to set up than, like, the audio equipment.
We've done, like 10 or 11 episodes now. And every time when we're setting up, there always is an issue.
There's always an issue with it, inexplicably. Everything else works fine. It's just that stupid monitor. Oh man,
that's awesome. That's life of podcasters, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm lucky with my the easiest setup right now: USB mic and camera, which is my phone.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
But yeah. Bayden, would you like to give us your little journey?
Sure. I'll use the term arts and like creative stuff kind of interchangeably, but like I've always, I'm a very academic person, and what I realized, I went to a elementary school. I don't even know. It was because it was a British curriculum thing, so it was primary and secondary school instead of like elementary, middle, high school.
Oh, right.
But I did primary school in Thailand. At a British curriculum school, and we had a lot of like projects. Like it was very project heavy, rather than essays and tests.
It's kind of
sick. It was actually really sick. And what I found like really early was basically there was always like a list of like, here's some suggestions for what you could do for the project. And as long as I did something that wasn't on that list, I just got like a super high mark. Right, and obviously this was like
cheat code.
These were these were the younger grades, so like they probably weren't that harsh anyways. But like they'd have a suggestion like do a poster, do this, do that. If I just did something that wasn't on that list that surprised the teacher, it's like a 10-20% bump on every grade.
I remember doing that too.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Awesome.
And so like because it stands out more, and so I've always tried to do like in whatever I'm doing, tried to push the creative side of it more, because that's what's always gonna make it like stand out. And just standing out, even if the content is no different, like content that stands out versus content that doesn't, even if they're the exact same at their core, people like the one that stands out, obviously.
For sure.
Right, and so that was kind of like where I've always been trying to think of like new and creative things. And so when I came to Canada, I had the opportunity to go to an arts high school, the one that Kyle and I went to. And there they had specialized programs for film, music theater, drama, arts, dance, all of that stuff. So it was an amazing program. It's kind of shut down now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Don't you love no funding?
Yeah,
It's
it was an amazing program.
It was great, yeah.
And so I actually auditioned for drama and film because I had little acting aspirations. My mom has long told me that I'm a good singer and actor, neither of which is true. Like, you know how normally like
Nothing
you do
like
something,
mother's love.
like normally you do something, your parents are like, I'm sorry, you're just not good enough for this. She gaslit me into thinking I was a good singer.
That's so funny.
Like I've gone on stage and sung, and I'm terrible, but I've gone up there with the confidence of a freaking like rock star.
I can confirm the karaoke session
Yeah,
went well, man.
So that I blame my mom for that. So I didn't do drama. I didn't get into the drama program, but I got into film in grade 10. And basically the program was 2 out of the 8 courses for the year were filmmaking. So we'd make 2, 3, 4 films a year, basically. And I just like fell in love with it. I mean, I did like, we've all done filming like as kids. Like as soon as you get your hands on a camera, the first thing you want to do is like make a Nerf gun war video. Or
Everyone
like,
had their 13-year-old YouTube channel.
you know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
everyone had that.
I still have mine.
Yeah, it's out there in the
Yeah,
ether
you know,
somewhere.
it's out there for you to make fun of.
Yeah.
Okay? So go and make
Like
fun of my stop motion videos.
Lego stop motions, like all that
The
stuff.
same thing, yeah.
Loved all of that. But the film program is where like I actually had to do it for a course, and like I had to think about it and get better at it. And so that was like really important, and I just loved it.
Yep.
I mean, it's such like a I like problem solving, and filmmaking is just nothing but problem solving.
Yes.
Like
So many problems.
every single part of it is a problem that you need to solve. Even just like coming up with an idea, like from the very start, it's a problem that needs to be solved.
That's a very interesting perspective. I haven't really heard that when it comes to, because maybe in terms of the arts, people assume that it's separate from that kind of problem solving thinking, and it's pure like off the top of the head inspiration, creative expression.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying is very accurate, because you have to, when you come at it with that mindset, it's almost more productive, right? Like
For sure, yeah.
like for myself as a musician, if I only made or wrote or played when I felt inspired, then I would have made
Like,
literally
almost never.
I would have in like 1/3 of every song that I've made.
Yeah.
But forcing yourself to kind of sit down and like, okay, I need this. I need this part of the song. I need to change it here. Like some sort of structure, I think is important in the arts.
For sure.
For sure, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't go so as far as to say like that's the only way to approach art. Like obviously not.
No.
But I think one, because it was for school, so everything actually literally was a problem.
Yeah.
It was like if I don't do this, I
will
won't
fail.
I will fail. So that's a problem I need to
That-
solve.
yeah,
Like there
makes
was
sense.
that factor, but there was also like I think for filmmaking in particular, films are about people with problems
Yep.
that need to be solved. So like approaching it from that way is what generates a lot of the ideas, because you're thinking from a problem solution standpoint, So after high school, obviously been at Rotman, and filmmaking is like it's really hard when you're not doing it
God.
like full time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Right? Like it takes so much prep and so much like it requires so many people's time.
Yeah.
Like unless you're just filming by yourself, which you can only get so far with, in my opinion. Like you need actors, and at this budget level, you need actors who are willing to commit hours of their time
For free.
for
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
And they're working or studying too. And then you need all the time yourself, and you need equipment and all that stuff. So like that was just like, up until this past summer, I did make a film from grade 12 to now.
Crazy to think about.
But I tried to fill my time doing other things, the podcast, for example. I've that's one of the reasons why I've mainly done marketing for different like U of T clubs and stuff like that, is because I enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah.
What the hell was that noise?
Somebody threw a rock at the.
Awesome.
They saw us recording a
Building's
podcast in the
collapsing.
study room, It's
The bikers have come for us. Yeah. So, but like this past summer, because I had a very set schedule doing an internship, and I knew ahead of time when I'd have weekends off and stuff. I had a lot of friends free. I went, look, by the end of the summer, I have to make a film.
Because we have a lot of friends who are like, one of our best friends, like he goes to New York every year.
Yeah, for school.
And so we only get to see him like a set amount of time.
Yeah.
And so we were like, okay, while he's back in Canada, like we have to make a film. Like we have to. And so just like setting that deadline is what actually got us over the line and actually got me to sit down, write, and make it. But like it's tough. I don't see a way of doing it during the school year, truly.
Yeah, because
it's just too busy.
Because even with all the planning like that you can do, it's never enough.
No.
Like there's always stuff that you never account
always
for.
come up. Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't know exactly where this spiel is going to end, but I think that brings us to the present day. So I'm still doing filmmaking, but it is hard. But I want to keep doing it after graduation for sure.
Very, very cool. So you both are well versed, I guess. You've been very involved in this aspect, I guess, of yourselves, being in the arts. And one thing I find is we're gonna get a little. This is how I am, kind of as a person in general. I randomly become very philosophical, but I'm just gonna go there for now. Okay. I mean, the podcast is called The Way, so
yeah, your
path in life.
I know. I'm surprised you didn't find the Latin word for the way or something.
Oh, I know. Well,
the pathos, the something.
It's funny that I actually got the term "the way" came from this book I read called The Book of Five Rings. I'm sure you may have heard of Miyamoto Musashi. He's a very famous samurai. He lived like in the 1500s, and he wrote this book.
Cool.
On his deathbed, and it's kind of the way of the two swords, which is a school of martial arts, essentially.
Yeah.
Damn.
And when I read that book, it's like a very famous book for a lot of martial artists I've read. But the biggest thing I took from it was the first scroll, which was the Earth Scroll.
Right.
And in that, the Earth is like the foundation, right? So it's a foundation for all the mental and physical techniques that precede that, or that follow that. And in that was this concept of the way. The way of a samurai is that's like their path, right? That's their journey that they take in life, that they commit to. But to be fully accomplished in something or to really contribute to your way, you must be skilled in other ways.
Right.
Right.
You can't just do the one thing.
Exactly. Right. There's a common saying, like in karate philosophy, right, where sometimes to climb the mountain, you got to climb the one next to it to see the best path to the top. And that's kind of the mindset behind the way.
That is a damn good saying.
I
That's
know,
crazy.
right? Jeez.
I mean, the Japanese kill it in some things, and that's in martial arts quotes.
That's
Holy
badass.
shit. Damn.
Exactly. And
Put that on the whiteboard.
exactly. I'm just gonna. You know what? I'm gonna put it right here.
That's right.
The way. But so what I'm trying to say is that people think that like the arts is one way, business is one way, engineering is one way, science is one way, but what we got to realize is, just even from you telling me that if we didn't set this deadline, we wouldn't have done anything, right?
Yeah.
Or structure is not the enemy of creativity.
No.
It's actually, to me, I think structure breeds creativity to a certain extent.
For sure.
Right? In the martial arts context, limitation creates specialization. So when you see somebody in a particular rule set, like boxing, right? You can only use two limbs to strike the other person, and only the front part of the fist. Well, if you look at the progression of boxing, that limitation has created such a specialized style. How many different styles of boxers are there? You have Mayweather, you have Tyson, and it's known as a sweet science for a reason, right?
Yeah.
It's so technical and precise. And to think like a limitation is what bred that kind of expertise in one area.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, right? I guess at least from a creative lens.
Yeah, but it's because they're bounded by a box, but
Exactly.
they have to flesh out the boundaries of the box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always find I work better with deadlines. Like, I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
because, like...
And I know that there are people who genuinely, like, work way better without them,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's the majority.
But for me, it's like, if I don't have a deadline, it's like, well, I can postpone it. Or, like, I just don't have the drive
Yeah.
to keep going
And there's
through.
almost always something more immediately pleasing to do.
Well, that's what I
Exactly,
mean, yeah.
right?
Because, like, again, like, in using the example of filmmaking,
Yeah.
or even, like, martial arts, for example, it's like, it's not immediately satisfying. You're not going to be the best, or you're not going to have a finished film,
Yep.
or be the best martial artist as soon as you start. It takes time to rehearse the craft, to get everything done, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a long and arduous process, but when you're done with it...
It's way better than any of the little things you could have been wasting time with along the way.
Exactly.
The way.
The way.
Well,
Your path in life. Climb the mountain. You know, I was actually thinking about maybe changing my logo. I'm gonna cut this part out because I'm actually not. But it was I wanted to do like a mountain, but then my friend's like, this will look like a fucking hiking podcast if you have the way and just a fucking mountain on there. But I digress. But yeah, I think that's a really cool perspective, and like, to me, it just shows the kind of balance that we need to have just as a person. Right? Things you can view things in different ways, and you always have to be flowing through life, rather than, like the famous quote goes, right? Water can crash, water can flow. Water, if you put water into a teapot, it becomes the teapot, be like water. And I find that that's embodied in a lot of different things. And building off of that, there's a lot of misconceptions around filmmaking. And
we're here to shatter them.
yes. What are some misconceptions that maybe the casual movie watcher would be surprised to hear, or maybe just something that you want to dispel from the other side of the camera?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I have so many.
Yeah, you have a lot? Yeah, I mean, all of it keeping in mind, like, I've only done, like, incredibly low budget, like, student filmmaking. Kyle actually might know more because they've seen, like, the behind the scenes of
Babe,
how
I'm
shows
not an
get
expert
made.
here.
We have an expert.
We have an expert.
Kyle is our expert
That's
on
right.
everything to do with film.
That's right.
I could definitely... Okay, to speak to the post-production side, the one common thing I think a lot of people think about, actually, this is just in terms of the entirety of filmmaking, is how many people are involved in the film, and how many people it requires. Because when you're at the end of the movie, when you're waiting for your end game post-credit scene or whatever.
I'm waiting to see Nick Fury, like, kicking a rock around a spaceship or something.
Yeah, and they're gonna be like, oh my god.
Oh my god, he's still around. He's still here.
Samuel Jackson.
But when you see all those names, you're like, how can, like, that many people work on the film?
Tell me that person could have done that job too.
No, exactly, yeah. But like once you sit down, or like if you're making a film, or even if you're involved in any aspect, you're like, this is a huge process. Like on my side of things in the Foley world, to get to for like one of us to do a Foley thing, just for like an episode of the show, it requires 2 artists, 1 feat, 1 props, 2 mixers usually, an editor, and then we send it off. That's 4 people already.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot. It's just such a huge process. But to go over to the post-production side, which for anyone who doesn't know, that's basically like after filming is wrapped, and this is all your VFX, this is all your sound effects, this is your editing, etc., etc. A common misconception I think a lot of people think is a lot of the on-set sound, like I do is shot on set, like again picking up the cups or footsteps and all that, and that is not the case. It is very like finely crafted. Even the atmosphere that you're watching in a film, like if there was a scene being shot in here, half the time they're probably not going to use what's actually in here to make that atmosphere. What they're going to add is maybe you'll hear the birds outside, and they'll have EQ it, which is basically just audio plugin to make it sound like it's outside. They'll add reverb to the room, which is like kind of like echo, just the room sound, and a bunch of stuff like that. It's just everything in films
intense.
are very well crafted. And to go on to that, I think there's this mentality that's grown in film and TV where it's like fix it in post. Like everyone's heard of that mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just fix it, man.
And part of the reason is because like so many on-set people are underfunded, and they're like, oh, we'll fix it in post. But it's gotten to the point where like they won't properly light things, and you can tell in some shows. Like,
Wow.
if you've watched House of the Dragon, there's this one episode that's super, super dark, and it's because it's just not lit properly. Or even like VFX stuff. The amount of unfinished VFX I've seen, like there will be props like a cup, for example, that is a green screened prop because it's easier to CGI than to get an actual cup. Like,
Nice.
sometimes it's that simple. And I'm fine for if you want to fix it in post. That's totally a fine mindset to have. But the issue is it's an underpaid part of the industry. It is the most underpaid part.
We'll fix it in post, but like, we're not gonna pay those post people.
It's like, how much you gonna 30 cents a cup?
What do you mean it's gonna cost you $30 to make a digital cup? Why didn't I just buy a $5 cup?
Exactly.
Like, I'm very lucky to be in the industry, and I never will take that for granted. But there is a show that currently we are working on. It is $15 million per episode.
Per episode.
Per episode, okay? And to put things in
Which it will remain nameless.
yeah, but to put things in perspective, it is the amount of money our company is getting is so much lower than what they possibly could be giving us, right? But that's honestly just an industry standard at this point. Those are my misconceptions of films, I think.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean those that's at an industry level, which you're actually working on. Like those are, very common.
Yeah, I don't mean to bitch and moan.
No,
we need this insider info, okay?
a year and a half of slogging through bad lighting and green screen cups.
What the fuck are these
It's enough to
people
drive a
doing?
person insane.
Despite all that, though, I still love the process, and I'm very grateful with the work I've been given and all of that. I want to hear what you have to say.
God, man, I don't know. In terms of like dispelling stuff, I don't know if I have enough actual experience to like do that, but I can talk a little bit about just like student filmmaking in general. This one I'll steal from. There's a really great channel called Pony Smasher, and it's run by the guy who directed Shazam and also what's that puppet movie, the creepy doll.
Oh.
Annabelle?
Annabelle. I'm pretty sure he did Annabelle or Annabelle 2 or something.
What
Interesting combo of film
Yeah,
there.
exactly. And he's got a YouTube channel, and it's really interesting. And one of the things he said that I just cannot emphasize enough, and this ties in, I guess, to what Kyle was saying a little bit, but like, you can get away with pretty bad video.
Yeah.
Especially at low budget, you can get away with like pretty shabby looking video, but you cannot get away with bad sound.
Yep.
Like, if you're gonna buy stuff or like put money into part of your film, and you're like, oh, do I level up my camera? No, you gotta put the money into sound, because people will watch like an iffy looking thing.
Yeah.
But if their ears hurt, or it's like tinny or frustrating to like listen to your thing, that's what's gonna make them go like first thing, right? And what you want is like, it's better if people are like, oh, the video's a little off, but they're still watching because the sound is nice, than if they go, damn, this sucks, right?
I've lived that firsthand. We used to get those like bootleg DVDs from the flea market, you know?
Yeah.
And
Oh, man.
we got this one copy. I think it was like Inside Out or something.
Yeah, the compressed sound.
Nice.
And the audio was out of sync by like a second.
God.
And my mom was just like, I can't watch it.
Well, because it gives you a headache.
Yeah.
Right? Like a literal headache. And so like since I don't know, I think it was I've been using the same camera since grade 10. I bought it secondhand on Kijiji for $230.
Damn.
Right?
$230.
$230, which is a friggin' steal.
That's
and it
awesome.
came with an extra battery too, right? The camera part of filmmaking doesn't need to be expensive. You can go really expensive, but it doesn't have to be. You can get away with DSLRs for sure. So I've been using the same one for nearly 8 years, right? And like if you light things properly, it can still look great.
Yep.
But the sound stuff is what you have to really pay attention to. And so on this film that we shot in August, because in the past I've done sound with a shotgun mic on the camera and then a little Zoom handy mic somewhere in the set. It sounds okay, like it's possible. But on this one we filmed in August, especially because Kyle does professional sound, we were like, okay, this has to sound good.
Yeah.
Like, we're not messing up the sound on this. And so we went and we rented, like, a broadcast level, like, boom mic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, incredibly cheap to rent.
To put things in perspective, because we were gonna rent a camera at first,
Yeah.
right? And we were like, how much is renting a camera? And it was like $300, like per like
For, like,
what?
a weekend,
For like
I
a
think,
weekend,
right?
yeah.
We rented, like, a professional grade broadcast mic. And obviously there's other equipment you need to get it up and running, like the cables and the plugins to the things.
Yeah.
But, like, the mic itself retails for, like, over $1,000, and you can rent it for a month for $70.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah.
Right?
It was
$70.
shocking.
Like, just like that, it's crazy, right? Like, in terms of how much I spent, around $500, give or take, on the film that we shot in August, and I was expecting the sound stuff to be half of it. It was like a tiny fraction of it. Like, my rolls of duct tape cost nearly as much as, like, the professional mic we were using. So, I mean, it's not out yet, but hopefully the sound in that turns out well. So,
I'm hoping, man.
yeah, exactly. So
Like-
I like for sure, if you're looking to get into filmmaking, you don't need to splurge on the camera, but you do need to pay attention to your sound.
Another thing that really helped, because we used the same camera that Bayden got from Kijiji, is we got a single light.
We did.
Like literally just one light off of Amazon, and it changed everything.
For sure. So you can get these LED light panels on Amazon. You can buy them in a pair for a couple of $100, or you can just buy the panel, and I think it was like 80, maybe 100.
Yeah.
It was a lot cheaper. And we moved it around the set a lot, and that was a bit annoying, but just having a decent light on set
Yeah.
was like fantastic. So you can have a very, again, it's an old camera now, right?
Yeah.
But if you light it right and you have good sound, people won't care too much about that. The other part I'll say is a lot of like low budget filmmaking, because it's hard to get actors and because it's hard to it's hard to write dialogue, a lot of them end up going non-narrative, so they go
Yeah.
experimental, and there's nothing like explicitly wrong with that. Like, do whatever you want for filmmaking. If you're making it yourself, you don't owe anyone anything,
That's true.
right? Like, at all. But like, it needs to be acknowledged that writing stories for short films, like to tell a story in 5 to 10 to 15 minutes, is difficult. Like, it is really
I'm
hard.
sure it's difficult.
Right? Like,
yeah.
that's why professional writers are striking right now, because it's not like an easy job.
Trust me, I read through the drafts on
Yeah.
this recent film, and he went through like what
So
eight,
many.
8 or 10. Like,
So many. Like,
ah.
it needs to be whittled down. You have all these ideas, and then they all need to change because you've written a script, and then your budget doesn't allow for it. Like, writing a narrative film is hard.
Yeah.
And I think people get kind of stuck there, but I think that's a challenge that you need to try and meet.
Especially because, well, like, we've experienced this firsthand, where it's the script's fully done, everything's satisfied with on the page. It plays differently on screen. Like, there was a few things where Bayden got my opinion, and the other actor we had, our best friend, just to look at it, and he was like, "Do you think this works?" And a lot of the times we were like, "This should just be cut." Like, something that works well on the page doesn't necessarily work well
Yeah.
in a viewing film thing, which is a great lesson, I think, and it leads back to your point. Like, it's good practice to be writing a narrative.
It is good practice. And I think the last thing I'll say on filmmaking is, like, I really think comedies are underrated.
I agree.
I think
I would agree with that
like,
a lot.
there are not enough of them, and they are also, like, so much harder than they look. Right? And that's not us, like, patting ourselves on the back. It's just that, like, I think because it's silly, goofy fun, and the actors in them are silly, goofy fun, people think, oh, it must just be a breeze. But, like, the timing,
Yeah.
the acting necessary, the script, the like, actual stunts and stuff that need to be pulled on set, all of that stuff, like, it is challenging.
I think I've seen, like, many directors say the hardest emotion you can emit from an audience is making them laugh.
For sure.
Especially when you're not in the room with them, right? Like, because like I'm a fan of comedy, right?
Yeah.
And comedians tend to describe the experience of, the difference between having a live stand-up set and like somebody watching it in their home is completely different. Because you watch a funny video, but you're not like giggling the whole time, right? You're like,
you do a light exhale from the nose.
You're like hee 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 hee. Dude, you see that?
Yeah. Because like again, like if you're a stand-up comedian, you can play to the people in your audience. You can be like, oh, look at this guy's shirt. What the hell's that guy wearing? But when you're on screen, it's set. That's it. There's no going back, right?
Which is why when I'm sitting in a theater and like the whole theater's laughing, like, man, that is such a hard thing to do. And like I have so much respect for like comedy actors and comedy writers and directors.
Yeah.
Like everyone who works in comedy, basically. Because like, God, making theaters, like multiple theaters, hundreds and thousands of people, like,
erupt with laughter,
like on cue. God, that is hard.
Yeah. I feel like more people should do comedies as well, because again, we're in the age of like $100 million movies. They're relatively low budget to make, and so there's a higher potential for you to get back your box office and like your money back.
Well, that's the reason why horror movies get made at low budgets, right? It's like, horror movies, people figured out like horror movies you can make for super low budgets and they can make a huge return. And I think comedies need to be approached in the same way sometimes.
Yeah, because horror movies are like half of the biggest directors got their start in horror. Or a lot of them did, because
we would know.
So
we have
easy.
our podcast first film. We discuss
Please
famous
check
directors.
it out.
Actually,
link in the description
that's right.
and in the iCard to their most recent episode.
Surprisingly, I don't think any of the directors we've covered have actually done horror.
James Gunn.
James Gunn. And kind of James Cameron.
Yeah, that's true.
Piranha 2: The Spawning is like a horror. That's all we got, I think.
Yeah, okay, no problem. When we're going on that, I find it's funny that you bring up horror and comedy. I mean, one of the most interesting kind of things I've seen just from like as an audience member, like all the for example, Jordan Peele, right?
Love Jordan Peele.
Like look. People are kind of wondering how is a great skit writer and comedic director able to write horror. I remember Jordan Peele described it as they're very similar in the way that he approaches them.
Yeah.
That's yep. I hear that all the time. Same with actors. Like most famous example, Breaking Bad. Bryan Cranston was only a comedic actor, yet he gave arguably like one of the best drama performances ever.
Do you know what I think it is? I think it's that like when you're laughing, you're actually very vulnerable. Like an audience person is actually like extremely vulnerable, and so if you as a director know how to open up that side of an audience member, you can scare him.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And I gotta say, Jordan Peele knows how to scare people. Oh my god,
great films, great, but goddamn, that's some scary ass.
I watched Nope by myself in theaters. It's not the scariest movie in the world, but like
the scene when they're like eating the people.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was the most.
I watched that in the basement with my partner. We had in their surround sound system. The sound design.
It's like I wonder what they were doing to make that noise.
I love Jordan Peele, man.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, God.
Well, moving on, I guess like building off of that, right? What are some of your favorite films that maybe some people wouldn't know? Like obviously there's your iconic films like the Godfather series and
never watched that actually.
Same.
Never seen it. Yeah.
I saw the first one.
I think the third one's pretty good.
Interesting. The one with Sofia Coppola.
Yeah.
Just a great film, but are there any maybe you think underrated films that people should check out?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't even know where to start though.
There's this great animated film. It's made by a French director. It's like claymation. It's called My Life as a Zucchini.
You've recommended that to me.
Yeah.
Sounds very interesting.
The French version is My Life as an Aubergine or
the British equivalent.
And
courgette.
I haven't watched it in so long, but like, I'm pretty sure it's about this adopted kid. He's like 8 years old. He's going to school, but it is one of the most emotionally raw things I've ever seen. Like, and for an animated film to do that is just fantastic.
We both love animated films.
Yes.
That's another thing that I think is definitely underrated. Is like animation is an incredible medium for film, and sometimes I'll want to watch, like, my parents look down on animated films.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of adults do. You do as well. Oh, your
My
parents.
parents.
Your parents.
Yeah.
I was like, we're about to have
Kung Fu Panda. Dude, Kung Fu Panda is awesome. Anyway.
Kung Fu Panda is a legendary series, but yeah, like animated films are so good. I'll my classic answer is Megamind. Megamind will always be
great
underrated.
film.
Like
Great
that
film.
is this is again too niche, but for the first year of Rotman, when we were all online, I had my camera on, and I have this giant Megamind poster in the background of my room. His head is like much bigger than my torso.
That's so
It's
funny.
Megamind and Metro Man. And that poster has done my networking for me.
That's great.
Because when we came in person in second year,
Megamind.
people
Megamind
didn't know
guy.
my name, but they were like, "You have a Megamind poster in your bedroom?" I was like, yeah,
Damn,
that's
dude.
me. And that was my networking.
God.
So Megamind is underrated, always will be.
Speaking of your posters in your room, another underrated one from a well-known director, World's End.
The World's End by Edgar Wright. So people probably know Hot Fuzz, Baby Driver, what's that mediocre movie?
Shaun of the Dead?
Shaun of the Dead. Last Night in Soho.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's an amazing comedy director, and he made the Cornetto trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End. And people only really seem to like the first two, but the World's End is fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, just like comedy, man. Like, comedy is so hard to do, and that one has just such great like line deliveries, just slapstick, great camera work, great editing. Oh, that movie's so good, except for the ending. The last,
no spoilers, guys.
The last 5 minutes, I'm like, oh man, this kind of ruined it.
That is true.
Everything up until that point, just end it after the World's End, and you'll know what I mean.
Gotta check my letterbox.
I know.
Check the letterbox down.
Oh, you know what? Another underrated one that I think it's underrated. Marie Antoinette by Sofia Coppola.
That was great. I was literally just gonna mention Virgin Suicides.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Virgin
I
Suicides.
listened to that episode.
Virgin Suicides is incredible, and Marie Antoinette, which has like pretty mediocre reviews, I think is an excellent film. Yeah, that's a very different one though. Do you have any others? We could do that. If we looked up a list, we could do this for like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
I just wanted forgetting. Hold on.
Go for
I feel like I'm gonna go crazy if I don't remember it. Oh,
I'll try and list off a couple more.
Christopher Nolan's The Following, which is his first one.
Oh, that's really good.
Fantastic.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, really good. Like, I mean, it shot him into the stratosphere when it came out. Like, he made it on no budget. Basically.
What was it called again?
It's called. Is it The Following or is it Following?
I think it's
just Following.
I think you might be right.
It's called Following. It's his first film. We're supposed to have an episode out on it, but we haven't put it out yet.
Maybe it'll be up by the time.
Maybe it will. It probably not. Let's be honest. But that's really good. It's very him.
Oh, God. Some films that aren't niche that I love. Parasite.
Oh my god,
Dude,
Parasite's so good.
Great film. Korean cinema just killing it right now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they've been killing it, but now people actually know.
Yeah, and like Bong Joon-ho specifically is like just
Memories of Murder.
exceptional. Memories of Murder.
Fantastic.
Yes. God, yeah. There are too many good films out there, and yeah.
I just recently rewatched Old Boy.
I haven't seen his Old Boy remake. I haven't seen it.
I watched the Old Boy. I actually watched it in this theater nearby. They're rerunning like classic films, and it was like $5, and like one of those old. It was so old that the seats weren't elevated. They're all sitting at the same level.
Hell yeah.
Like this stuff used to, let's just say stuff used to probably go down at the back of the theater. It felt like one of those. It was $5 for any movie.
Nice.
And I just love I mean, it's a fucked up film.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So fucked up.
I'm sure. You want a weird story?
Yeah.
So in Thailand, we used to take these like mini buses, like when we went on school trips and stuff like that.
Okay.
And there was a TV in the bus,
No
and like,
way.
and so like one time we watched like Iron Man 3 or something.
Nice.
And this one time, I swear to God, man, it was so weird. We were supposed to be watching Slumdog Millionaire or something.
Okay.
The bus driver put on a Human Centipede.
No way!
I shit you not.
What a great children's film. Hey kids, go watch that film.
And we made it all the way. Like we made it like halfway through before he was like, "What?
It's like, oh
that's
my
not
god, that guy's
Slumdog
shitting in the
Millionaire."
guy's mouth as he's eating the other guy's ass.
This
Oh
isn't
my
like a
God.
charming story of a guy, a rags to riches story. Like,
That's such a major fumble right there.
That's, I mean, how do you even have that accidentally rolled up, you know? Like,
no, he had it on lock. It was in
he
the
had the
cassette.
DVD, he had the, you know, like those back in the day when they had the 6 DVD, like the high-tech one
Exactly,
that
it
you around.
spins it. Yeah,
He had to know, like, the audio would have been, like, so loud.
The cover is,
bad.
that's wild. What
Yeah.
a great film, eh?
Just
You
a little,
guys should watch.
just a little traumatic memory from my childhood.
Hey guys, so this episode ended up being really long, so I split it into 2 different parts. Next week episode is going to be part 2 with the First Film Potty crew, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun to film, and as you can tell, it was from a while ago. I apologize to First Film Potty crew. But yeah, stay tuned for the next episode next week, and never stray from your way.